السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. We continue this Khatirah series that we began a couple of weeks ago, where we are covering different sections from Sayyidul Khatir of Al-Hafiz Al-Imam Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah ta'ala, which is probably one of the earliest works that catalogs what we today call khatiras. And in this reflection we see that Ibn al-Jawzi is coming across a bit harshly. And sometimes in his reflections he brings such positivity and hope and inspiration, and in the very next reflection, he brings the hammer down. And this is needed because as Muslims, we have to maintain the balance between fear and hope, khawf and raja. And so he does this here. And whenever you come across any of his harsh rebukes, the best thing you can do is look at it and think about how it might apply to you. The worst thing you can do when you hear a reflection from someone like him that's a bit harsh is to think that it applies to the other guy and might not apply to you. All of these things are possible for us. So what does he say? In this reflection he says, خطرت لي فكرة فيما يجري على كثير من العالم من المصائب الشديدة والبلايا العظيمة التي تتناهى إلى نهاية الصعوبة. He says, I had a passing reflection on the calamities and unbearable trials that befall most of the world. Things that are very difficult to endure. فقلت سبحان الله إن الله أكرم الأكرمين والكرم يوجب المسامحة فما وجه هذه المعاقبة. He says, Subhanallah, I said to myself, Allah is the most generous of the generous, and such generosity entails ease and pardon. So how is it that we find such catastrophes and hardships that are still occurring? So you understand how he's framing the question. Allah is Akramul Akrameen, the most generous of the generous. If that's the case, why are there problems? Why are there catastrophes? Why are there disasters? Why are all these things raining down upon people, left and right? And here's where he starts to reflect, and he brings the sledgehammer to the nafs. He says, فَتَفَكَّرْتُ فَرَأَيْتُ كَثِيرًا مِنَ النَّاسِ فِي وُجُودِهِمْ كَالْعَدَمِ لا يتصفحون أدلة الوحدانية ولا ينظرون في أوامر الله تعالى ونواهيه بل يجرون على عادتهم كالبهائم فإن وافق الشرع مرادهم قبلوه وإلا فمعولهم على أغراضهم. Here's the sledgehammer. If you heard this in Arabic, would you agree this is a bit of a heavy hammer? He says, I reflected on this and I came to realize something. That so many people's existence is like non-existence. For they neither explore the evidence of Allah's oneness reflecting on the cosmos, nor do they look into Allah's commands or prohibitions. What is halal and what is haram? What are Allah's commands upon us? Instead, he says, they live only according to the dictates of their daily customs and desires. Kalbahaim, like animals. They live an animalistic lifestyle where the primary concern is al-batan wal-farj. That's the concern. He says, if the sharia, the sacred law, agrees with or corresponds to their desires, they accept the sharia in that regard. But if the sacred law contravenes their whims, it goes against their whims and desires, they give precedence to their whims and desires. He says, وُجُودُهُمْ كَالْعَدَمِ, heedless, neglectful, indifferent to Allah. And this is what I've heard on more than one occasion different mashayikh say that the greatest threat to religion is not atheism. The greatest threat to religion is indifference, born of apathy. Indifference, what in Arabic we call qillatu al-mubalat. Just you don't care. Doesn't matter. So he goes on to say, وَبَعْضَ حُصُولِ الدِّينَارِ لا يبالون أمن حلال كان أم من حرام وإن سهلت عليهم الصلاة فعلوها وإن لم تسهل تركوها. After they acquire their wealth, they don't care if it was from halal or haram sources. If salat comes easy to them, they'll offer it. But if it doesn't come easy to them, they will quickly abandon it. They just don't care. He says, وَفِيهِمْ مَنْ يُبَارِزُ بِالذُّنُوبِ الْعَظِيمَ مَعَ نَوْعِ مَعْرِفَةِ النَّاهِ وربما قويت معرفة عالم منهم وتفاقمت ذنوبه. Some of them, he says, publicly disclose their major sins, even though they have a certain degree of knowledge concerning the one who is forbidding these major sins. In fact, some of them may have a strong knowledge of this reality, yet their sins, tatafaqam, they cascade upward, they increase exponentially in intensity, going from bad to worse, like this. He says, فَعَلِمْتُ أَنَّ الْعُقُوبَاتِ وَإِنْ عَظُمَتْ دُونَ إِجْرَامِهِمْ فإذا وقعت عقوبة لتمحص الدنيا ذنبا صاح مستغيثهم ترى هذا بأي ذنب وينسى ما قد كان مما تزلزل الأرض لبعضه. He says, I came to realize something. I came to realize that the divine punishments, these uqubat, even if they are severe, are still less than the gravity of the offenses. This to me is the operative phrase in the reflection. He's basically saying people who are experiencing those punishments, they're actually getting less than what they deserve. And no one should ever feel they're getting more than they deserve. Whatever test we get that may be as a kind of ta'deeb from Allah, where Allah is waking us up, we should never think that I don't deserve this. You think, no, I deserve more than this because I'm sinful. And I ask Allah for lutf and to raise it and to allow me to make tawbah. He says that these things are less than the gravity of the offenses. He says, so when one of them is punished as a purification for a sin that he's committed, he cries out in contempt, "Oh Allah, for what sin have I deserved this punishment?" As if they don't deserve it. And he forgets his previous sins for which the earth would shake due to their enormity. And he concludes, وَقَدْ يُهَانُ الشَّيْخُ فِي كِبَرِهِ حَتَّى تَرْحَمَهُ الْقُلُوبِ وَلَا يَدْرِي أَنَّ ذَلِكَ لِإِهْمَالِهِ حَقَّ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى فِي شَبَابِهِ. He says, it is possible that an elderly man is humiliated despite his old age to the extent that people feel sorry for him, while he does not realize that what he suffers in his elderly years is because of his negligence of Allah's rights when he was a youth. And then he closes with the final line, فَمَتَى رَأَيْتَ مُعَاقَبًا فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لِذُنُوبٍ. He says, whenever you see someone is being punished, know that this punishment is due to sins. What is the takeaway for us, dear brothers? Number one, this is a reality described in the Quran. He's not pulling this out of his pocket. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Corruption has appeared on land and on sea due to what people's hands have earned. And the cause of all of this is heedlessness, selfish craving, and قِلَّةُ الْمُبَالَات, this indifference, this indifferent attitude. I don't care, it is what it is. And lastly, this reflection is very harsh, but sometimes we need a little bit of harshness. And the objective behind it is not to just make us feel sad and depressed. It is meant to inspire something in us where we say, okay, I need to make tawbah. I need to renew the tawbah and keep renewing the tawbah until the very day that I die. اللهم اجعلنا من التائبين والمنيبين إليه يا رب العالمين.